Hello writers, come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Write with Mykela. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Today is the 7th of November and election day, so go vote and then come back and leave a comment on how many words you have so far for the Nano Wrimo challenge. You can state words per day or the total so far. If you wrote for the challenge before watching today's video, you should have somewhere around 11,700 words, or precisely 11,669 words. If you have 11,500, then you're still on track. Not to worry. Some days you'll write more and some days you'll write less. So 11,500, you're still on track. You're going to make your 50,000 for November. So today is Tuesday. And today we're going to talk about dragons, animals, and pets in your stories. I told you from the beginning, writing is fun. And one reason is because you get to create everything. I named some things like mountains and buildings and weather and characters, etc. Another thing you get to create are your animals and pets. Animals can be real or mythical beings. They could be good and glorious. They could be terrible and terrifying. It's all up to you, the writer, the creator. Now listen carefully. There are thousands of books and stories and movies out there, but nothing binds you to do what someone else has done before. For example, dragons. Excuse me. Many people think dragons are mythical creatures, and they're quite regal. Therefore, dragons would not interact with normal humans. You should reserve such regal characters for just a few special people. One editor even told me that my dragons seemed too commonplace. Well, at that point, I didn't think she really understood my story. Now, I'm talking about my Mykela series. There is a story or myth within that story. And I love doing that. So there's this story and myth. And this story talks about the beginning of dragons. And that story tells the dragon's purpose. So if you read too far into the book at all, you're going to know that that myth is there. And then even farther, you're going to know that the purpose of the dragons. And in this story, I make the original dragons as being born from the consciousness of a person, or a person's consciousness. The dragons are there to direct a person's thoughts and actions, to advise. Of course, that is the myth within Mykela. But many of the dragons in the story believe this and take this to heart, that this is their purpose. They feel the need to advise the person that originally hatches them and then to advise their writer. I ask you, if I held the dragons away from the people and did not let the dragons talk to the people, how could the dragons advise them? The editor could not see that. She felt things could only be a certain way. Needless to say, I never paid for her services again. Further, I will state that I personify my dragons in Mykela. And in fact, many have a character bio on my website. A few of my dragons are Durst, Gal, Kirsta, Besnish, Clara, Dulap, and Differ. If you could visit my website, you could visit, not you if you could, but you could visit my website and read their bios. Moreover, I've never had a reader tell me that the relationship my characters have with the dragons is too commonplace. My readers actually love my dragons. Now, any animal or pet that you create and add to your story, you can personify, or you can make them as ordinary pets. Animals serve important purposes in life. There's a saying that a dog is man's best friend. Why is that? Because a dog doesn't have all these strings and conditions to his love for his owner. He just loves. When you or your character feels lost or alone, a pet or animal can comfort you or your character. You can comfort him or her without any personification. The internet is full of videos with people and animals. Sometimes the animals are showing appreciation. Sometimes they're showing love. Sometimes they're just entertaining. Some of the animals are very funny. And you have all these like cat videos of crazy things that the cats do. Or the dogs do. Now there's even little bitty goats that just bounce around. And it's very entertaining. Sometimes a pet will help you get up in the morning. You know, you're sleeping in the bed and the dog goes and touches his nose to your hand saying, hey, I need to go outside. And you're like, okay, I'll get up. You know, some people train the pets of the elderly to help the elderly person remember to take their medicine. And that's a lot of training and stuff, but it's very vital for those elderly that live by themselves. Some dogs will bring their owner the leash so they can go for a walk and exercise. And guess what? The owner is getting exercise too. An animal can be comic relief. An animal can warn of danger or protect. Now, many of these things that I just stated are without personification. So, if you add personification, you add a whole lot more. You add another level to your story. This is your creation. Don't let people tell you how your story is supposed to be because they read it in a different way in somebody else's book. Just let your imagination go and have the most fun you can have. If you have mythical creatures like dragons, then you can play around with their colors. You can play with them breathing fire or ice. It doesn't have to be a black dragon that breathes fire. You can have normal household pets that also have different colors and abilities. I just thought it would be super funny if a dog kind of all of a sudden could breathe fire. That would be funny. Might have to add that to a story someday. Never know. You can also create mythical animals and pets that don't exist in anyone's book. There's a saying that the sky's the limit, but when you create a story and you write, the sky is not the limit. You have a whole universe to play with, or multiple universes if you write science fiction. Of course, always keep your reader in mind. If you can't picture it or describe it, then your readers won't understand it and they'll get lost. My readers love my dragons because they understand them. I don't have to totally describe dragons because people have images of dragons. You can just Google it and you can have 1,000 pictures. So they already know what dragons look like. I just have to describe the different colors and their breaths. And don't limit yourself to animals or mythical creatures. You can have imaginary beings as well. Some we've heard of like fairies or gnomes. But you're not limited to what's in someone else's books. Santa's elves are short. And Tolkien's elves are tall and elegant and beautiful. Which elf is correct? That is what your imagination is for. And your description in your story will let your readers know what your elves look like. In Mykela, I have legumes. I also have a bio page on my website for legumes as a group. I don't single one out with a name or anything. It's just the group legumes. But in my story, I describe the legumes so that my reader can visualize what the legumes are. I also have Balaam as another type of being that I describe in that story. This is just fun stuff. Dragons, pets, animals, mythical beings. They're easy to connect. They're easy to use for interrelated events. They're easy to use to move the story forward. They can serve all kinds of purposes. Now, in City of the Ancients, there weren't a lot of animals. There was the ravenous Vaporus, and there were spiders from spider mounds, but there was also a horse. The horse helped the three siblings go on their journey, and that was important. Of course, the ravenous Vaporus was why the siblings embarked on their journey in the first place. Without the ravenous Vaporus, there may not have been a story. In Tahia, you have vicious dogs, but you also have a squirrel, a rabbit, 3 geese. The squirrel gives Tahia advice or ideas. Mostly it's ideas. The squirrel just gives her ideas. And the rabbit helped Tahia's group hide. And the 3 geese's flock helped Tahia leave their scent behind and fly part of their journey. There are actually quite a few more animals in Tahia, but I don't want to spoil too much. So, when you're writing, I want you to think. Think about your characters. Do they need emotional support? A pet or animal can provide it. If you're thinking of I Am Legend, you know, Will Smith in that story had the dog as emotional support and as a buddy in that film. Do your characters need a warning of some danger? Animals can provide warning. Do your characters need some comic relief? What do your characters need? Dragons, animals, and pets can provide things that other characters can't. A pet can be childlike in needing care. That could divert your character's attention enough to calm down after a battle or after something stressful happens. Just anything you can think of to create is not off limits. So long as you can describe it so that your reader understands it and can picture it in his or her mind, something close to what you want. It doesn't have to be exact. That's where movies come in. I would love to see my books as movies. That would be so spectacular. And remember, that is my ultimate goal and dream, is to be in the movies. To have somebody make a movie of my books. That's just... that would put me way above cloud 9. There would be no limit there. Join me Friday for Tahia chapter 14. Join me Tuesday for some jargon. I'm going to talk about prologue, epilogue, and monologue. And I've mentioned at least the epilogue a couple of times. So we'll talk about those. Leave a comment today on how many words you wrote for the Nano Wrimo challenge. Leave a comment on animals, pets, mythical creatures, or dragons that you've put in your stories. Also, leave a comment on which dragon bios you've read from my website. On that note, visit my website, WritewithMykela.com, and read some character bios. That web address will be at the end of the video. If you hit like and subscribe and the bell notification, then we will continue to write together. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, then please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.